Hi, I'm Nick, also known as
Bounty Archive.
I'm a book artist in New York City. I'm going to show you how to make this book. To make this kit, I partnered with Talas, so everything inside is super high quality. You'll find the materials you need to make a fine book. If you haven't purchased your kit yet, go to talasonline.com. It's available in 3 colors. When working on books, a clean, level surface is important. A cutting mat's nice to have too. Let's open up the kit and see what you got. Nice. This pre-sewn book block is going to be the base of your book. It has 112 pages of ivory-lined paper. This line indicates the head of the book, though you can orient it however you'd like. These 2 sheets of Japanese linen paper will be the end leaves, or end pages, of your book. A few pieces of Davy binder's board, 2 for the front and back covers, and a spine piece. It's about 2 millimeters thick. This is quality Brooklyn book cloth from Talas. 2 pieces for the covers and a different color for the spine. Some decorative headband or endband. And this card you'll find in your kit. Don't throw it away. It has 2 spacers you're going to need later. Let's talk tools. The Bounty Archive Toolkit has everything you'll need for this project and can help you in future book works, including 3/4 inch round glue brush, Olfa cutting knife with a fresh blade, Jade 403 PVA adhesive, and lastly a bone folder. This is going to be your bookbinding bestie. You'll use it for creasing, folding, and generally convincing the book to be a book. There's a couple more tools you're going to need. A ruler or straight edge, painter's tape, or some kind of non-marking masking tape. Some parchment or wax paper. Here I am breaking it up into pieces a little bigger than the book block. Lastly, some scrap paper. Any plain or copy paper will do. Lay down a clean piece of scrap paper and place one of your end leaves on top. Mask off most of that end leaf using another piece of scrap paper, leaving about a centimeter or so. Pour out some glue. You won't need much. This 8-ounce container should be enough for several projects. Hold the top piece of paper in place with one hand and, using this sort of dabbing motion with the other hand, brush the glue liberally onto the end leaf, pushing away from you. Looking down over the top of your book, align your glued out area with the spine of the book. Tip it on in place. When you're done, you might have some extra paper hanging off the end of your book. Just use your Olfa blade to trim that off. When using your blade, be very careful. You definitely can cut yourself with this. Place most of your weight on your non-dominant hand to brace against the object you're cutting. Move slowly and let the blade do the work. Next, you'll cut the end band to size. Hold it up against the spine of the book and mark each side. Make sure you leave enough room to get 1 piece for the head and 1 piece for the tail of the book. That's the top and bottom. You've got a great glue brush now, but I like to do this part by hand. Just dab a little bit on your finger and apply it to either the head or tail of the book to start. Then, put on your headband. Press it into place and repeat for the other end. You want to place it so just the colored part is sticking up above the top of the book. Scissors are best for trimming off any excess. Though you don't want to trim off too much by accident. It's okay if it's a little wider than the book. One of these is not like the others. That's because it is the spine piece. Go ahead and grab that one. We're going to make the case. Each piece of fabric is 4 inches, so find the middle at 2 inches using your ruler and mark it at the top and bottom. Grab your spine piece from amongst your Davies binder boards. Holding it in your hand, apply glue away from you, flip it around, and cover the other side. paste it down right in the middle of your spine piece of fabric, using the line that you drew as a guide. Flip it over and use your bone folder to rub out any air bubbles. This is where those 9mm spacers come into play. On the card that came in your kit, you've got 2 spacers you can cut out. Use your straight edge or ruler to carefully cut them out. Here's a little demonstration of the next step before we apply any glue. Remember, this PVA glue dries relatively quickly, so make sure you have a plan and know the next steps before you start applying any glue. With a piece of scrap paper underneath, paste out one side alongside the spine piece. Remove your scrap paper and add one of your 9mm spacers alongside the spine. Place one of your cover boards snugly up against the side of that spacer. Put your ruler or straight edge along the bottom to make sure everything is aligned. Peel away that spacer before it gets glued in place. The next thing you'll do is just repeat this process on the other side. Whenever working with glue, I like to keep a towel, an old t-shirt, or a paper towel nearby, just in case I get glue on my hands or on the working surface. In this sequence, you can see how important it is to have the ruler or straight edge aligned along the bottom of all 3 of these panels. This keeps everything level and aligned. Once you're through, flip your case over and use your bone folder to make sure there's no air bubbles. You also might want to go through the joints of the book, where the spine meets the covers, with the side of your bone folder. Be careful not to use the point of your bone folder, and don't use too much pressure, because you can actually poke through the fabric here. Nice and even. Next, grab your painter's tape and roll out a piece that's taller than your book block. Cut down the middle, because you'll need 2 pieces. This is a fun technique that makes the two-tone book cover possible. You're actually going to mask off the fabric that you've already glued down to the covers, going right up to the edge with this blue painter's tape. Doesn't need to be blue, but, painter's tape. Once again, a demonstration before we use any glue. With another scrap paper in place, go ahead and liberally glue out the remaining cover board. Don't be afraid to get glue on the blue tape, that's what it's there for. Carefully peel away the tape, making sure you don't get glue on any of your fabric, and put the tape somewhere it's not going to get glue on anything else. And then grab one of your cover fabrics and carefully line it up right on the edge of your existing fabric. Go ahead and rub it into place with your hand and then your bone folder. In this shot, you can see how I'm definitely being mindful of how the edge that hangs off on the blue and brown fabric lines up at the top and bottom. Making sure this part that hangs off the end is aligned on the top and bottom will help you in the next step. Nice. This is another good opportunity to crisp up those joints on your bookcase. Make sure you don't use the pointy part of your bone folder. No good. In life, I find that cutting corners rarely pays off. In bookbinding, however, we need to cut corners. You're going to cut all 4 corners of your case on a 45-degree angle. Don't cut them too close to the corner, and don't cut them too far away either. To be safe, it's a good idea to measure about 3 or 4 millimeters from the corner, and then draw your line. For me, scissors are the best tool for this job, but your Olfa blade will work as well. Depending on who you ask, this next part is called doing the turn-ins or fold-ins, paste-downs, paste-ins. You get the idea. Basically, with a large sheet of scrap paper down, you'll want to paste away from you on this top part of the book. Folding it up like this allows you to tell the book where you want those paste-downs, turn-ins to go. Next, you'll use your bone folder to do some further convincing before pulling them with your hand. I like to use the heel of my hand because there's definitely no glue on it, and I can get a lot of surface area as I pull towards me. Crisp everything up with your bone folder, and make sure you do this on the top and bottom before pausing. This next step seems small, but is actually very significant. Now that you've done the top and bottom fold-ins, use your bone folder to crease this little angle here. This is going to make sure that when you do the turn-ins on the sides, that they fold in properly and everything is nice and neat. And now you'll do the turn-ins just like you did on the top and bottom on the two sides. Another opportunity to firm up those joints. Make sure you take it easy with the bone folder. At this stage, you have a book and a case. Let's do a test fit to see how they go together before we glue. Make sure the headband at the head and tail of the book are aligned with the top and bottom. This is how you'll want it before you glue out the book. Let's combine. With the book in place, insert one of your parchment or wax papers inside the end leaf. Using your non-dominant hand, apply a good amount of pressure to keep the book right where it is, as you glue out away from your fingers on that end leaf. Use long strokes, making sure to coat the entire page in glue before you pull out the parchment paper. Apply pressure on both sides and flip the cover down. Use your bone folder on the glued down end leaf to make sure it adheres really well and evenly before adding in a clean parchment paper and closing the book. With one cover glued down, the second one goes much more easily because the book won't want to move. Put in a clean piece of parchment paper and repeat on the other side. If this looks like it's happening really quickly, don't worry. I'm going to show some more examples and a technique that will help you build your confidence before you try this out. Remember, your bone folder is your bestie. Make sure you use it here to really smooth everything out before putting in clean parchment and closing the book. Let's study the technique for flipping down the cover after you've glued out one of the end leaves. The trick to this technique is to make sure you're applying even pressure on the spine and on the foredge, that's the edge where my right hand is, on the book. That way, closing it in is simply a matter of flipping the case down with your thumb. Here I show you how I put good pressure on the spine and on the foredge of the book before I flip down the cover with my thumb. After each side, don't forget to use your bone folder to smooth out the page. You can run your bone folder through this little joint here to really firm this part up a lot. Again, make sure you don't use the point. You can rip through the page. Once you've got both pages down, run your bone folder along this spine groove. This is a nice touch that will give your book a real bookish look. With clean parchment on each end, it's time to put the book under some weight. I like to use books. Finally, a use for all those coffee table books you don't read. Be patient and let the book sit overnight. There's still some moisture in the glue, believe it or not, that needs to dry. Congratulations! You made an elegant two-tone notebook, just like this. Making a book is an endless source of joy. Thank you for watching.